DonInLondon, hello. February the 16th, my 2009, my second video, all about recovery from either substance addiction or behavioural addiction, or both. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, and very, very far from it. But you know, we are imperfectly perfect, because if we had nothing to aim at, what would be the point of life? And I've just been talking on my first video about the reading and daily reflections and some of the stuff that I was going through yesterday and today. So I've got a lot on my plate when it comes to trying to deal with my situation. And besides recovery, type 1 diabetes, clinical depression, and a complete change in regime for those two things. So some of my meds were contraindicated or not working. And one or two of the new things I'm having to start are very difficult, and it's like an excoriation of one's insides. So excoriation means a flaying, if you like, and feels like that. What is my video all about? Recovery, and recovery on a daily basis. So that's why I do one or two videos, or as many as I feel the need to, because it's my way of slowing down into the moment and now, the truth of now and how I feel. So when I'm on my own, I can ask myself in the morning, part of my reflection is, how am I feeling, why, what can I do? On the emotional, spiritual and physical fronts. So emotionally, I know life is difficult and will be for some weeks. Spiritual is the truth of now for me, and physical, I'm in pain, abject pain some of the time. It's again too long to go into now, but it's difficult, I can tell you that. And but I am enthused by one or two things I've been reading this morning, not just the daily reflections from AA, but also from As Bill Sees It, which is integral to something else I've picked up from a friend of mine who recommended it, a book. I'll talk about that in a moment. But As Bill Sees It, page 30, and it just happens to be a very appropriate coincidence. It says this: getting off a dry bender. Sometimes we become depressed. I ought to know. I have been a champion dry bender case myself. While the surface causes were part of the picture, trigger events that precipitated depression, the underlying causes, I am satisfied, ran much deeper. Intellectually, I could accept my situation. Emotionally, I could not. To these problems there are certainly no pat answers, but part of the answer surely lies in the constant effort to practice all of AA's 12 steps. And you know what? That is true. But if you'd asked me 2 years ago, what did that mean? I wouldn't have a clue. And really what I'm learning on a daily basis is the power of a program of self-healing. And you know, the self-healing doesn't mean we are going to be completely perfect. What it tells me these days, we self-heal to the capacity we have. And once we understand our emotional capacities, our spiritual capacity, and our physical capacities, and where the limits are, it's not to keep on pushing against those boundaries so we can excel in some aspects of our life, because just going further means we wear out faster. So ask a footballer at 40 how their knees feel these days, or ask a gymnast what it's like now, 25 years later. Are they still able to do all the things they thought they could do 25 years earlier? The answer is no. And similarly, I've come to understand that there are limits to what I can do and my capacities. But that should not deter me from trying to make the best of what I have, and have commitment to it, and keep on working at it. Not to exhaust myself, but to make myself able to deal with the best that is right now. And this book, Sally Brampton, Shoot the Damn Dog, a memoir of depression. And As Bill Sees It there, it talks about depression. Modern science is moving along really quickly, and also people who have depression are moving along pretty quickly too, understanding their situation and doing vast amounts of research on how to deal with clinical depression, or whatever version it is. Depression is depression. It's as bad as it need be. And how to deal with it. We can't expunge it, as some would wish. And medication doesn't take it all away. It just makes it a bit more manageable. Here we go. Don't look down at the introduction. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make heaven of hell, and hell of heaven. John Milton. This is a memoir of depression. It is also my story, because I believe that we learn through stories. We learn that we are not alone. My story is no better or worse than the next person's, just as my depression was no better or worse, although it felt like it at the time. I thought I had no hope of ever making it back to that place I called life. I thought, too, that I was the only one who felt that way. Depression feels like the most isolated place on earth. No wonder they call it a disease of loneliness. If you're reading this book you feel that way too, you are not alone. I understand how you feel. I think that anyone who has suffered from even mild depression understands how it feels. Yet we forget that others understand our suffering. We withdraw, isolate, or shut down completely. We lose ourselves in ourselves and in the illness. It doesn't have to be that way. If we connect with even one other human being who truly understands, we take one step out of the illness. Life is about connection. There is nothing else. Depression is the opposite. It is an illness defined by alienation. So I offer this book by way of connection. I offer it too as a source of hope. I hope that by sharing what I was like, what happened, and what I am like now, that it may bring somebody else comfort. I am not an expert, except by experience. For nearly 4 years I lived with depression day and night. I thought I would not make it through. I thought, without wishing to be dramatic, that I would die. I wanted to die. At one time it was all I wanted. It was not something to regret or to be ashamed by. Wanting to die, or suicidal ideation, as the experts would have it, goes hand in hand with the illness. It is a symptom of severe depression, not a character failing or moral flaw, nor is it truly a desire to die so much as a fervent wish not to go on living. All depressives understand that distinction. And there's more, and I haven't got the time for it right now. When it said the distinction, the suicidal ideation, it's, do I really want to die? Or in my case, it was, do I really want to wake up? And that was the difficulty for me. Did I really want to wake up day after day feeling as bad as I did? And what could I do about it? And those years and years of depression were on my own. I don't know. I didn't keep going for myself. I kept on going because of how it might impact on other people in my family. I lost my way completely, and as it says there, anybody who suffers from depression, even from mild to severe depression, we know what it's like, and it's the very difficult aspect of saying I don't feel right and I don't know why. And I remember back in 1996, March 28th, 2000, March 96, March 28th, I wrote an email to a colleague at work saying, I have no clue what is wrong with me. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go see my doctor. And that was at the start of the day where I was going to go then do a team building exercise with a bunch of people who were great. I must pause. A timely break. Anyway, March 28th, 1996, I broke down. Had a nervous breakdown. Well, I didn't know it was a nervous breakdown then. It was a 2-year anxiety state of trying to prove I could be the person I used to be. And actually, when we have a breakdown, it changes us completely. And the gift is then we actually learn that on a daily basis we keep on changing, gradually, if we have commitment, if we put the work in, if we don't wait to be fixed. And this is the key. When depression is as bad as it can be, we just need to be held somehow, somewhere. Find connection, and it's the connection to life and living. When we don't want to, that is the hardest moment. So I don't know how it turned out that I made it. It wasn't just me, and I have a lot of gratitude for the people who helped me along the way. Anyway, more anon. And finally, as I have the time, I always try and remind myself when things are going badly or good, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and continue to learn the wisdom to know the difference, simply a day at a time.